My name is Megan Turner-Chernia. I am the spokesperson for the Lauder Center. So I made Aliyah to Israel 10 years ago, and I feel very privileged to be able to give this presentation today. Obviously, I'm the one who's giving the information, but really Einat and Hadar and her amazing team, they are the professionals behind this very special program, and they're the ones that you're going to be in touch with. So I also just have to tell them thank you so much for your hard work that you do. Everything that you guys do in the North is incredible. So let's get started. We're talking about the services that we provide are in the Galilee area of Israel. So this circle is not exactly where it doesn't include all of the little pieces of the Galilee, but I think it's really important to show what is not considered part of the Galilee, which is Haifa. So it's a large city that we all know. Nothing against Haifa, but that's not exactly the area that we're speaking about today. The area is, you've probably heard of all these different little pieces that make up the northern part of Israel, which is the parts that we serve. We have the valleys, the lower Galilee, the western and the eastern Galilee, the Golan, the Sea of Galilee, and the Jordan Valley. So these are really, this is kind of the zoom in of the spaces that we're going to be talking about when we're talking about the services that we provide to New Olim. Just a tiny bit about it. The Northern District is one of 6 regions within Israel. We have, I think everyone's really aware of the central region with Tel Aviv and all of Tel Aviv's suburbs. There's the Jerusalem region. There's the Negev, which is where I live. And today we're specifically talking about the Northern District. It has about 1.6 million residents, which is almost 18% of Israel's population. I will say that Israel's population loves to come and vacation in the north, but only a small part have really realized the beauty and the hidden gem of living in the north, which is what I hope that some of you here today will consider doing. Most population centers in the north are rural localities, people seem smaller cities. We're talking cities of 30,000 plus people, not anything huge, but you're also not totally out in the middle of nowhere up in the Galilee as well. Very, very important, I think, whenever we're discussing, especially since, I know that we're talking about a whole package of the services that we provide, the services that Gvahim provides. You also have to kind of know when you're considering moving to a place, how you're going to get around. So it's very important, I think, to also put on here the map of the train system. There's obviously a bus system in the north as well, but the train system is very, very efficient and you don't get stuck in traffic in a train, which is very nice. So what I've circled includes Haifa as well, because that's a very main train station. But you'll see that we have trains that go all the way north to Nahariya, also to Akko, where our center is located. They go over to Karmiel, and even over east into Afula, Beit She'an. So there is really a large part of the Galilee that is connected by the train service. This is my non-graphic design way of showing you guys where these trains are compared to where the map I was showing you earlier. Now, it's not all of the Galilee, okay? A lot of places that you're going to live in the Galilee, if you choose to go there, you may need to have a car, or you may need to be considering how you're going to make life and employment work from a smaller place, either if it's by working remotely, which is definitely an option in a lot of instances, or just making sure that you're choosing what's going to be appropriate for you in your family situation when you make Aliyah. So, like I said earlier, the Galilee is gorgeous, right? Like this is really like the nature, the green, the beautiful part of Israel. And like I said earlier, kind of as a joke, that a lot of people consider it to be the place where you go to vacation. And we're saying that the Galilee, the Negev, these periphery areas of Israel can really be the place to live. And this is something that we really are supporting because we see it as a way to strengthen Israel into the future. So not only is it There are lots of reasons for high quality of life, being surrounded by this scenery often, but also there are some Zionistic values to wanting to live in these kind of farther away places. Farther away, I don't know, like I'm sure you guys are from very large areas. And so for Israelis, an hour and a half traveling is the end of the world. But people who are coming from places where you have to commute an hour and a half, 2 hours every day to work, it's not the end of the world. So with all of that, the beauty that we just witnessed of the Galilee, let's talk. I'm going to focus in now on who we are at the Lauder Center. The Lauder Center was created in 2015 in order to support improving the quality of life in the periphery areas of Israel, specifically through connecting people and their families, or professionals and their families, to high quality employment opportunities. Because as we know here, strengthening the frontier region is strengthening the entirety of Israel. So how do we do that? I'm going to tell you guys just this next slide that I'm going to tell you a bit has a tiny bit of information that's not really relevant to you guys specifically, but when I was practicing this speech, I was like, wow, it's a little out of context. I want you to understand just very briefly, like what we do as a whole at the Lauder Center in the North, and then kind of focus in on what services we're offering to you as potential new Olim to the area. So first of all, we really work with two different groups of people. This slide reflects what we do with the people that we're trying to attract to the North, but we also have a whole half of our work plan that we do where we're trying to retain people in the North, because we know that there's high quality human capital that live in the Galilee, and that if we can help them find the right job and the right community, that they're going to stay there and they're going to strengthen the area as well. But let's talk about what we do in order to attract people to the North, since that's a little bit more relevant for you today. This was mainly built to attract Israelis who are already living possibly in the center of the country, in the Jerusalem area, and some of these overcrowded areas, to attract them to come north. And as we were building these programs, we understood that we could also extend these services to potential Olim, or people who've already made Aliyah, but maybe they started in a place like Modi'in or Beit Shemesh or Tel Aviv, a place where they maybe can get their footing on the ground a little bit better, and now they're ready to find their forever home, and possibly that forever home could be up north. So what do we do a little bit? Some of the things that we do are we encourage high-tech companies to move north. We're looking to open new job opportunities and to create job placements in the Galilee through the work that we do ourselves with our partners. Gvahim is one of our amazing partners, for example, with employment opportunities. Like I said, meeting with new and potential Olim to try and encourage you to just think about the Galilee. No one's trying to, that's what, there's not one size fits all to Aliyah. But if you know a little bit more about the Galilee, it might be something to put on your radar as a potential location to land when you come. And then what we're going to talk mainly about today are the Lauder relocation services. Now, it's all based on this unique and growing database that we have, which we've been working to build over the past 2 years. The database is really rich in information about educational opportunities, communities, cities, kibbutzim, smaller villages, local governments, employment organizations, and so on and so forth. Meaning that we have really done a thorough job of mapping all the different players in the North who could possibly have something to give to a relocation of a family or an individual who want to leave one place and come to another. Because we also know that whenever you're leaving a place, whether it's leaving Tel Aviv to come to the Galilee or leaving Rio de Janeiro or New York City to come to the Galilee, it's not just one thing that you're having to take into consideration. You're having to take into consideration where you're going to live, where your kids are going to go to school, what kind of leisure activities you're going to have, what community are you going to be involved with. So really, we're trying with the relocation services that we're going to present to you now is to help you with all of these different levels of life and services that you need aside from just the, okay, I got a job, okay, I got a house. There are lots of additional things that we need to take care of in order to help people have a successful integration or a successful Aliyah, as it is in many of your cases. So how does this process work? First, the note that I wrote, I didn't even realize that's the first thing that pops up, but it's a good thing to put on the table. I worked with new immigrants coming into Beersheba for 5 years at the Municipal Absorption Department here in Beersheba. So I just want to put it on the table that the services that we're offering are complementary to all of the services that the Ministry of Aliyah and local municipal absorption departments give. Those are the places that really they know what your rights are. They know how to get you signed up for Ulpan and how to make sure that you're going through all the right steps, the bureaucratic steps of making Aliyah. So we are not here to replace them by any means. We are here to provide an additional complimentary service so that hopefully you feel a little less alone in what can be a challenging process. Making Aliyah is not easy. It is, for a lot of people, very, very rewarding. I'll say that for myself. I've been very, very, very fortunate to have an amazing experience as a new Ola for the past 10 years. So that's our little disclaimer to put out there. Don't ignore these amazing services that you'll be getting from the bureaucrats or the professionals in the national and local government. So the first step in our process is reaching out to our relocation coordinator. So I'm very happy to say our relocation coordinator is here on the call. Hadar, just give us a little wave. Glad you're here. We have her email address and also a landing page, like an online form that you can fill out. We'll make sure that you get both of those. The first thing is to start a conversation with her. She's going to help identify what your Aliyah relocation needs are. We're all very different, right? So you could be a single person coming in that's wanting to jump into the high-tech sector. And so you know that it's important to you to live in one of the bigger cities in the area, and you want to be connected to the thriving high-tech community so that you have networking events and so that you can know where to progress career-wise. You may be a family of 5 that comes in and you have very different needs from the person who's coming in as a single person. So really it's imperative to have this personal conversation with Hadar in order to understand what your specific needs are, because we're going to try our very best to tailor make the services that we're giving to you to be exactly what you need. And we know that everyone's coming with a very different set of needs. The third thing that she's going to do is she's going to go to that database that we talked about, and she's going to start saying, okay, this is a good opportunity. This is a great housing opportunity for this particular person. Or you know what? They want to look at a kibbutz. I know that kibbutz A, B, and C are currently accepting people and accepting new residents, so they should definitely talk to them. Or, you know, I know that there's this amazing community that is looking to expand its reach and bring in more people who made Aliyah from South America or who made Aliyah from Canada, whatever it may be. So she has that information at her fingertips. So she will start basically building a list of opportunities and connections to help make for you. The next step is that she will be in touch with you. Here's a great list. You need to talk to Shlomit from this kibbutz to talk about their requirements for being a member of the kibbutz and what are all the steps you need to go through. And you need to talk to Dan at this particular school because he really wants to show you all the different little things about, you know, this elementary school in this area and this high school in this area. And what's going on behind the scenes is okay, we're linking, right? The Lauder Center is a really good link between Olim and all the different people that could be really helpful to Olim, but we're a very active link, meaning she's going to talk to Sholomit and she's going to talk to Dan and she's going to say, hey, there's someone who's going to be talking to you. It's Einat. She's in New York City right now, and she really wants to learn about this opportunity, and this opportunity. Please be expecting her call, her email, whatever. And then, because It's Israel. We need to be checking on these things. Hadar also turns and makes sure that these people are actually being in touch with you. And she also checks to make sure that you're being in touch with them, just because we have to keep that communication line open. And so we're just going to be checking in to make sure that you're getting the responses that you need, and that you're also progressing through contacting people as at your leisure, but making sure that it's happening, basically. And then the last step is really kind of an open-ended step. You'll continue to have that conversation with Hadar. You'll continue, okay, so maybe you have needs 1, 2, and 3 taken care of, but then you're like, oh, I have many other needs that I need to have taken care of. Wow, I found the right school for my kids, and I found, my spouse and I both found jobs. We have a great house, but now we have a need for many other things. I'm not going to give too many examples because it could go on and on and on, but the idea is that you continue having this conversation with Hadar until you feel like your needs have been met to the best of everyone's ability in this situation. So again, the whole idea behind this process is to give you a very personal assistance in your Aliyah adventure, let's call it. And to help you feel like you're not alone, because again, it is it's not an easy process to go through. So we're going to try and make it a little bit easier, and to at least have someone who we know is answering the phone, answering emails, and trying their best to help you to get settled in a lot easier in the Galilee. With that, here I have Hadar's email address, again, either an email or through the landing page, which will make sure that you get access to. We do ask that you speak to us no earlier than about 6 months before your scheduled Aliyah. So, if you're looking at Aliyah in the next 2 to 3 years, we're not really the right place for you yet, but keep our information so that you can be in touch with us when it will be the right time. Just because things change so frequently, and we want to make sure that the information that we're giving you is the most relevant to your upcoming Aliyah. And with that in mind, I'm going to say thank you for my part.
Hi. So after all the information you've just given, I have to say that I've been in Israel for almost 12 years now. I'm very happy in Israel. I have no intention of leaving Israel or the north. But having said that, this is life. It's not a fairy tale. It's my reality. So right now I'll give you a very brief overview of my successes, but also my challenges, having made Aliyah, living in the north. We moved to Karmiel because we wanted a place where we could get on our feet, we could have access to transportation. There was no train at the time, so we had to take buses if it was outside of Karmiel. When we left Karmiel after a year and a half, we moved to a village, a yeshuv, just on the hills above Karmiel. The picture you see in the background actually is a view from my back garden. It's not a stock image from Google. And we moved to this yeshuv. It's called Eshcha. Firstly, it's a very unique yeshuv in the north because it's a mixed religious yeshuv. So you have chilonim, you have datiim, and you have mixed families and everything in between. And it's a very unique community, and it's been around for now close to 40 years, and for the most part it works. Almost immediately, and this goes into one of the questions that was asked about housing and building a house. Almost immediately when we moved to Eshcha, we jumped into a process of they were building a new neighborhood. And basically in Eshcha, when they build a new neighborhood, you're given a plot of land. It's around about 500 square meters, and you can build whatever you want on that land, up to a house up to the size of 250 square meters. So we jumped into that process, and 3 years later we built our house. One thing I have to say about where we live in Eshcha, if you're looking for great weather, it's not too hot in the summer, and it's not too cold in the winter. And building a house in the north at the time, I mean, I'm going back 6 years, it would cost you between 1 to 2 million shekel, depending on the size of your house. So if you compare that to buying, renting, or building in the center of a country, it's fairly cheap. Prices have gone up, but I'd still say it's a reasonable price. Now, my Aliyah has not been without challenges. I've learned a lot from living in the north. A lot of people have said to me, "Are you going to move home now?" And my answer back to them is, I am home. I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. I have all the support I need for my son. I have all the support I need for myself. Everything is close by. My kids, they love to live in the north. I save a fortune on shoes because they don't wear shoes, especially living on a yeshuv. They run around outside all day. They're happy. They're free. Security, someone asked about security. We don't feel fear living in the north. My house is surrounded from my bedroom window. I can see 4 major Arab towns: Sakhnin, Arabed, Dir Hana, and a few others. And we even go to these towns. People from the Shavim, they go shopping there. We have a trauma center in Sakhnin, the local Arab town, which is a great trauma center through Klalit that provide us with all the help we need. If kids break bones or anything like that, they've got X-ray facilities. So we don't need to go to hospitals, which are 45 minutes in every direction. There's definitely a lot of opportunities, and there's growing opportunities. A lot of startups in the north for work. There's a lot of engineering jobs. There's a lot of marketing jobs. I think one of the things Gvahim taught me back in the day was, if you really want to get a job, you have to make a job for yourself. And a lot of companies need help with English, even if they don't think they do. They'd help with English and need help with marketing. And quite often you can convince people that that you're probably a good place to help them branch out of their small niche into the wider world. There's lots of jobs. There's lots of jobs in Yokneam, Haifa. There's industrial parks near Karmiel. There's Bar-Lev, up, as you said, up towards Kiryat Shmona, Tefen, up on the upper Galilee. So it is really growing. There's lots of incentives for companies to move up north. And from my point of view, I couldn't imagine living anywhere else in Israel. There was a question about how much it costs to live for a small family. I don't know the rental prices so much in the cities anymore, but I know where I live, you can, depending on the size, you can rent an apartment from between 2,000 up to 6,000 shekel a month, depending on what you need. So it's a lot more competitive than looking for an apartment down in the center. Please let me know if you have any questions. The level of education, for being one of the better places for education in Israel. My kids would disagree, but they don't have much to compare it to. So the level of education in the north is good. There are a wide range of schools. There's democratic schools. There's you can basically find, depending on where you live, you can find a lot of different options. What about the sea? Karmiel is not in the sea. Do you miss it? The sea is, Akko is 25 minutes drive from my house. So there's no need to miss anything. Miriam, what do you mean by offices? Like, are there many companies, places to work? Yes. There are many different companies. There are many different places to work here. Karmiel is a growing town. When I arrived in Israel, there was about 50,000. I think it's much larger now. Although Karmiel from an employment perspective hasn't grown much, but the areas, the employment what do you call them? Employment centers around Karmiel are growing all the time. business parks and the opportunities. So yes, I actually want to add that if you're looking at moving to a village, a community, a yeshuv, kibbutz, something like that, a lot of the information you'll get about renting will come from the mazkir, how do you call it in English? The secretary of the yeshuv, or the
community.
So that's the easiest way to find accommodation for rent, and they might put you in touch with the absorption committee of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, if you are looking to rent in a community, there's no process. It's just you find a house to rent and you move in. If you're looking to buy or build, often you will need to pay into these communities. Where I live, I think it's now upwards of 60,000 shekels that you have to pay into the community. And then they might send you to do some sort of testing to make sure you're of sound mind.